Well, welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Tanner O'Brien. I'm a senior partner here at Action Coach in Central Texas. Today, I'm sitting down with Beau Sutton, who is the owner of Scissor Sisters Hair Show and Side Kitsch Vintage. Two amazing businesses I'm excited to dive into. So, first and foremost, Beau, thank you so much for taking the time to be here and sit down and tell us a little bit about your story and talk a little bit of business with me.
Yeah,
So
you're
thank you so
welcome.
much. Excited to jump in. Why don't we just start with a little bit of background? Give us kind of the 10,000 foot view of who you are and tell us about these two really cool businesses.
Well, when I was a kid, I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur so much that my mom bought me a book about child entrepreneurs. And it had each chapter was different things that a kid could do to make money because I really badly wanted a regular Nintendo. And I cleaned windows to do that. And since then, I had gotten the bug and I knew that I absolutely wanted to go into business for myself. But it took me a long time to figure out exactly what I would use to actually go into business. And I went to hair school and immediately fell in love with, how you connect with your clients, how you make them feel fantastic about themselves, make them look good, and how they view you as a positive thing in their life. And so it was just doing hair is a very cathartic experience. So it had become an obsession that I was happy actually made me money. But I didn't know I whenever I opened the salon, I opened it initially with my sister who had an idea of trying out making it like a hair show theme. And sorry, the lights were okay. Um, so I opened it with my sister, who wanted it to be a hair show theme because she had gone to a hair show and had this fantastic experience as a hair model on stage, and was just enthralled with how special it made her feel. And so we built a stage and we tried to imitate it as much as possible. We had gotten rid of our mirrors and turned the music up and just turned ourselves into platform artists, meaning flashier clothes and a little bit more showmanship. And the customer reacted so well because there's nothing else like this in the United States. We're the only one. And people aren't normally the center of attention or center
Mm.
stage. And uh, if you have just a little bit of the moxie, you get to feel what that feels like. And so every day I get to see a person just transform more than just their hair, a boost of confidence from just experiencing that.
That is so cool. And how long has it been since you opened up?
So we actually had opened up the salon in Killeen, Texas for about 3 years. We were testing it out down there and then moved it to Austin in 2019, November 2019. So it was really only 4 months before the pandemic hit.
Such a great timing.
In some ways, it was good timing, and in some ways, it was horrible.
Yeah, I can imagine that there would have been a lot of, you know, obstacles to overcome and kind of navigating those waters as I know there was for many businesses out there. But before we dive into, a little bit more of this, tell us about the other side. So we were just talking right before we started the vintage shop that's kind of a part of this as well. Tell us a little bit about that
Yeah,
piece.
well, I wanted a business that would help support the salon because the salon did not have clientele yet. And I wanted something that would attract people in. And I already have a secret obsession with vintage. I already knew where to find it. I, was inspired by the vintage stores around me in Austin because there's so many, and they're all very close knit and friendly with each other. And they would just tell me what they were doing. And I thought, I wonder if my clients would like vintage as a boutique. And it was really only supposed to be a small corner of the building, and it turned into half of the building. Um, and really, to be honest, they both businesses feed each other customers all day and night. And it's it's just kind of interesting because I mean, people who get their hair done, they like to shop, and so you see them walking through. It's kind of funny with their hair processing in the Cape, buying curtains and tchotchkes. So it's an interesting, strange marriage, but it works really well.
That is so cool. I love that it's, very different from anything else that may be out there. I love that the entire theme of all that you do is different. That's it's an area we can kind of dive into when it comes to, what sets you apart and things like that. But before we do, I want to, dive a little bit deeper into this journey of entrepreneurship. You mentioned, getting a book when you were young and getting into really just kind of different levels of entrepreneurship as a kid, and then moving your way up to today. What were some of the lessons that you learned, along this journey of starting a business, of learning how to make money for yourself rather than working for other people? Maybe talk through kind of that a little bit. Tell us a little bit about some of the major lessons that stand out. I'm sure there were likely hundreds of them, but what's one or two kind of major lessons that stand out in your journey?
Well, one of them is I always seem to pick like service-based, stuff because I like people. The stuff that I did as a kid was like cleaning homes or delivering groceries long before there was, like DoorDash or Uber Eats. But I was doing it for like the elderly, and I always looking for a need that people have, but remembering that they needed me for a reason and that I need to meet that need beyond just giving them these products. They want to connect with a person. And I
Mm.
mean, it's ultimately what took me to hair because you have such a personal like relationship with your clients. They sit in your chair for hours. But hold on. I can't it's motion sensor. You can edit it out. Um so anyway, I like to connect with people. And I think that one of the things that I learned is the more you connect with somebody when you're doing business with them, they want to know the owner, the mastermind. They feel makes them feel important to have met you or to pick your brain. And I always try to speak to people when they want to hear about what this is about and make that connection. And I think that sometimes in business people get disconnected from their customer. And most successful businesses I meet make deep connections with their customer. And I think that it's the most important, especially when you're service based, to remember that these people, all of us are just looking for a connection. So you might as well just connect. And when you do, it works so much better for you. They are so much more loyal and send you so many more clients when you do that. And you become a part of their life that they just couldn't do without. And that's where you want to be.
Mm. I love that. The When you look at creating connections with your customers, um, any tips of the trade, techniques that you've learned along the way that just kind of helps you develop those relationships, develop those connections. If you were to give some advice for others out there that want to start to develop those types of things even deeper, what recommendations do you give them, or what thoughts do you have around that?
Well, I tell my stylist that it's like dating. The rules of a good date are you're kind, you're courteous, you're a good listener, and you let them talk about themselves. If they ask you about yourself, then go ahead and indulge and tell them a little bit about yourself, but they really just want to be seen. And I let them tell me their story. And then in turn, oftentimes they let me tell mine, but I don't always need to tell them mine. I just want them to feel like I'm the space that they just can't wait to be in, where someone sees them, someone hears them. And I think that the best way to get to know any human is to just let them tell you what they want to talk about. And they'll guide the conversation from there. And they'll walk away thinking, wow, that was the best conversation I've had in a long time. And it isn't because I got to tell them about how cool I am. It's because I let them tell me how cool they are. And that just makes them more curious about me and wanting to know more about me. And so it's just like dating. When you're at a date, you let your date do the talking. as much as you can. And then they walk away thinking, this person gets me, so you just do the same thing with your customers. So I'm dating all of my customers.
I love that. And I think it's such an easy way for folks to kind of make that connection of like how does this actually look in the real world if you're looking to make genuine connections with folks. So I absolutely love that. I always like to ask a couple questions on like your role within the business. So you've got two businesses that you're essentially running. Tell me a little bit about what your role looks like as the owner of the business. How many different hats do you get to wear in each of these businesses today?
Well, so on the salon side, I'm the recruiter and the trainer because we normally bring in students from hair school. I am I, I'm the therapist for the clients. I'm the therapist for the staff. I am their cheerleader. I am constantly making their goals and helping them achieve them, allowing them, also the stylists, to feel like they're heard by me. And I try to give them as much of my attention as I can. And then on the vintage side, I have vendors who are renting space from me, and so I'm teaching them how to find vintage, how to buy it, how to sell it, how to display it. And I am also Mr. Fix It. I am constantly under construction in this space because when you grow, things call for it, and I don't think anybody's going to put my vision out there better than me. So I'm doing a lot of construction. And then I'm out here. We have the LGBT Chamber of Commerce in Austin, and I'm an ambassador for that, which means I do ribbon cuttings at other businesses. And that opens me up to meeting people who need my services. And again, hold on, where is it? I'm sorry. I see where it is. Okay. Sorry. And um, I also run the front desk when needed, which is a lot. But it does feel like juggling, but I'm starting to learn after about 5 years where to put it, where to do it, where to give myself my time.
Mm.
Um, and I also realize if I'm divided, then I'm thinned out. I'm not at my best. So I try to find who is the best person for the job. I give them my attention, I train them on it, and then I let them show me sometimes how much better they are at it than me. So I think that's one thing that I had to learn recently was delegating to the right people and letting it go, like letting
Mm.
other people take ownership of the business, which they again in turn the employees become very loyal when you do that. And I even if I just give them a crumb, they sometimes that's all they need to go, this is my place too. And
Mm.
when they talk like that, you're going to get your best employee out of that.
I can't agree with you more on that one. Which, kind of leads me to when you look at the different roles that you get to play, which ones do you enjoy the most? Like what gives you energy in the business? And then, flip side of that, as soon as you have the next one that you're gonna delegate because you want to get it off your plate, like what's the first one that's gonna go as soon as you've got the right person to hand it over to?
Well, each person in here is awesome in their own right. So whenever I delegate, I try to think about their personality and try to imagine how they would do the job. But sometimes people surprise me. They ask me for something, and whenever I give it to them, I'm amazed at how good they do that job. I have a front desk person who I asked to run my markets, and I said all I need is consistency.
Nope, you went on mute there for a second.
Are we back?
You are back.
Okay, somebody was calling me. No, anyway, so my front desk person, I did not think of them as a person who would absolutely love organizing events. And we do a pop-up market, and I told them that I wanted it to be consistent. I'm like, if there's anything that it is. I need it to just be consistent. You can go wherever you want with it from there. And he created a whole vendors list, contacted all these people, and he has had it well in hand. And I never thought that he would be the right person for that task. And now he's the best person I've ever put on that task. And you had asked me another part of the question. I'm so sorry. What was the
Uh, it was the there was the two pieces, like what do you personally enjoy the most and gives you energy, and then what's the next one you're ready to delegate.
So I like picking for vintage the most because I get to travel and shop. And it's like it's a scavenger hunt, looking for finding things that I've never seen before. And I get really excited about bringing them back and showing people. And conversely, education, like going out and learning a new technique in hair, and I can't wait to do it on a client, you know. But the task that I really would rather delegate out have to do with social media. Like it's
Mm.
so important and I'm so bad at it that I just feel like if you can't do it, then you should either hire someone to do it or like help teach someone to do it and not just try to like hit your head against the wall. We're not good at everything. So I find people who that's their morning, noon, and night. And it's the people I ask to stop looking at their phone on the job. They're like literally the ones that are the best. So I put them on the case, and then when they're looking at their phone, it's for a good reason. And then
Mm.
they love it because they're getting to be creative.
Yeah, I love that. So let's talk a little bit about the business. For those that haven't picked up on anything so far in our conversation, or just I always like to ask the general question, like, who's your business serve? Now, the way I like to kind of frame this up is that if I'm in the audience and I'm watching this later on, and I'm here in the Austin market, how do I know I'd be a really good fit to come see y'all, or I might know somebody that I should be referring over to come check everything out?
Sure. Well, first and foremost, I wanted a space in which transgendered people could have gender affirming beauty care, where they can be comfortable. They can ask for me for anything, and I will give them what they want. I won't just put it with what I think they should have, which is a mistake some stylists do. And it's only because they have care. They don't they don't want to make you upset. And when someone comes in with long hair and asks for it to be shaven off, that's kind of a red flag, in the past, and you might be hurting somebody, but now by ignoring them you're hurting them. So I wanted to give them a comfortable space, but at the same time everyone's invited to the party. So really anyone who wants to sit in a space that's diverse, so just about anybody could show up and we would do their hair as long as they were pleasant and nice to each other. Anybody who wants to have an exciting experience rather than a relaxing one. I mean, we're still going to give you a shampoo, we're still going to relax you a little bit, but at the same time, I'm going to give you an alcoholic drink and we're going to listen to some loud music while I do your hair. Because that's our vibe here. It's just, this is fun, this is exciting, we're transforming you into something else. I've had people come in here of all ages. I've had grandfathers come in here and they get a regular granddad, like haircut, just, little off the sides and little off the top, but they really get the fun environment and they really enjoy it. And so it doesn't really, if you've been to a party, then this, and you liked it, then you will probably like this place.
That is fantastic. I love the way that you articulate it and the way it's comes across. I think a lot of folks can resonate with it.
Hold on a
How do
second.
so let's take just a couple minutes. Let's talk about marketing. So you mentioned social media, things like that, but when you look at how you get the word out about this amazingly awesome thing that you've created, what's been your philosophy to letting everyone know that that the business is here and they should come check it out?
Well, I mean, again, people want a connection. And with a hair salon, most people who get like major services, they're not just going to pick any salon. They want to hear from somebody that it's good. And all salons run best off of referral, but I like to reward my customer for referrals.
Mm.
So what I do is I have a point system, a loyalty point system, and they get $25 worth of points for sending me a customer. Now, mind you, $25 for this customer that even if they get a haircut, they're going to be in my chair probably 2 or 3 times in the year. I'm totally okay with giving up that money. And if I can turn them into a hair color, then I'm not losing anything. And so I reward my customers for doing that, and they get a card that says everything that they need to know about the salon, and it also has the name of the client on it so that I know who to give the points to. And I ask them to take a picture of it so that they can even show it to people. They can take a picture of their phone if they meet a stranger. And it has been the best. It's the best marketing, and it's practically free. I have to buy the cards, but that my customer is motivated to remember to bring me up whenever somebody says that they like their hair. Uh, and beyond that, beyond word of mouth, I just try to go to events, and I always make the joke at the beginning of the musical Hello Dolly. She hops off of a train and hands her business card to everybody, and all of a sudden she knows how to do every job in town. Like she can babysit your kids, she can do your floral arrangements, she can make you a dress, she can match make. And anytime that I think that my business could help somebody, they're going to get a card. And even if I'm just like meeting them, they get a card. And I know it's really old school, but uh, you're going to get a card if you meet me, especially waitresses. I love giving them free haircuts with their tip, because service people are the fastest word of mouth you will ever find. They
Mm.
care about their appearance deeply because it matters in their industry that they always look presentable so that they are more approachable.
Mm.
And they meet more faces than anybody else. So people in the retail arena, bars, restaurants, or other beauty services like nails that I don't do, I gravitate towards them. Make sure to get them in to get services. And it just works so well.
I love that. I'm gonna just encourage everyone who's watching this later on, pause, rewind, listen to that entire thing again, because that is like marketing gold. My I hear word of mouth, hear referrals all of the time in terms of something that's tends to work for most industries, but being able to create a system around it and like this is how we do referrals and this is why it works so well. Unfortunately, that doesn't come up as much. So if you're watching this later on, pause it, go listen to that again because it's absolutely phenomenal, and I just absolutely love that there. Um, so because I do want to be respectful of time, and before we get to some of the rapid fire questions here, I've got to ask, when you look for the next 3 to 5 years out, where do you see the business growing? What are you excited for as you look out and kind of cast the vision for where things are going for your business? Give us kind of a sneak preview into to where things are headed and what you're most excited about.
Well, I switched gears on my role in the business to recruiting and training. And I'm really focused on helping other stylists uh, to gain stability, not just in the industry, but in their personal life. If I can help a stylist to learn wealth building and wealth thinking ideals, then they will stay in this industry and not get burnt out in it. So I delve deep into their life, their goals, and try to help them achieve them. And right now, I see my only growth would come from helping stylists to realize their potential and to gain it. And my hope is that within the next 2 to 3 years, I will have done that with so many stylists that I can start growing locations with solid people who have like clear, not just know how of how to give you a haircut. Hold on. Yeah, right in the middle of talking. But I want to give them a clear understanding of not just be able to do a haircut, but also be able to manage their money and go on vacations and love what they do and feel like there's no other way that they could do it but this because they're not taught business in hair school. So I'm hiring people to teach them business. And I've been focusing on that for the last 4 or 5 months, and I've been getting really great results from it.
That is amazing. Absolutely amazing. I love the just the very solid focus, but the like exceptional focus you have on where your team members are headed and their lives and why all of this matters for them individually. I think that's just an amazing thing. Um, so as we begin to wrap up, I've got a couple rapid fire questions I'd love to ask. Just kind of pull some additional wisdom nuggets out for the audience. When you look at your, we'll say, journey through life from, first entrepreneurial book, way back when to starting this business today, what would you say for you has been kind of your key to success?
Um, Having faith in myself. I mean, you're going to get kicked um, throughout the entire process. And I've had times whenever I sat in a room and said, "Why am I doing this? Close it down. I just going to go work for somebody else." But the thing is, all of humanity only learns from mistakes in everything that we learn. All the way down to the ABCs, one, two, threes, we learn from mistakes. And so you've got to look at your mistakes and you have to thank those mistakes because you're never going to make that mistake again if you're aware of what they are and you don't let them get you down. And that is the only basis of actual learning in business. So you have to try. You can't let other people tell you that your idea won't work. You have to go ahead and try it. You should still have a head on your shoulders about it, but still try it just so that you can say you did and learn the lesson from it. Because just because they've learned the lesson doesn't mean you have. I, I've just always said, thank you for the advice. I'm going to go ahead and try it. And sometimes I succeed where they failed. So you just got to not be afraid to keep trying and keep trying. One day you're going to hit gold and then you'll do it that way forever and
Mm.
gain the success from all those failures.
I love that. If kind of shifting the question slightly, if you could give just one piece of advice to other entrepreneurs out there, and you could only leave them with one, what piece of advice would you give them?
Plan. I mean, I have jumped in headfirst into a lot of things. My mom called me a bull in a china closet, like a real one. And I've learned over time that it's okay to jump in, but you have to actually stop and plan it within an inch of its life first. Like, it's okay to go ahead and jump in and tell everybody, I'm going to do it. But like putting it on paper, it's going to save you time. It's going to, in the end. And sometimes you'll even see something that you didn't like. And I've just learned to slow down. And even though my idea is cool and I can't wait to start, just giving it a good plan and showing somebody else is going to save you so much time. And I kind of wish I had learned that years ago. And I'm only just now figuring it out. I know it sounds basic, but I'm very creative and I like to just shoot my gun whenever I get an idea.
I'm sure there's a good balance between those like myself who's very much planning focused and having a little bit more flexibility along the way too. Um, but how about book recommendations? Any book recommendations you would give to the audience? Whether one just sticks out in your mind, or I always like to frame it up with like if there's one book that either you're currently reading or have read most recently that you would recommend, and it does not have to be business related if you don't want it to be, but anything that you would recommend for the audience.
So the book is that I love and listen to all the time is called "You Are a Badass," and what I like about it is it's about a woman who and the writer is the narrator whenever you listen to the audiobook version, and I listen to the audiobook version because she is funny. Like you don't get bored even for a second. And what she does is she helps you to realize that it's centered around in somewhat entrepreneurship because she's telling you her story about how she quit her job to go write books while traveling South America, which the books that you're listening to are the books that she made to do that. And she's just reminding people your ideas are good. I'm sorry about that. She's just reminding people that her ideas are really good or that your ideas are really good and that you should go ahead and move with them. I had a bit of a problem whenever I started where I did not believe in my own abilities, imposter syndrome.
Mhm.
And you're not an imposter if you're actually doing it. Like you're not. that's doing it is like the thing that makes you do it. So, but it was hilarious. I've listened to it 4 or 5 times. I've asked my stylist to listen to it. And sometimes we just need a boost to tell us, yeah, you're awesome. You're good at this. And then every time I listen to it, I'm able to get something crazy done because it just gasses you up.
I
I
love
can't
it.
remember the name of the author, but look
I
it up.
will I will look it up afterwards. It's always fun when I come across a book that has not been put on my list yet, so I get to have another one. This is fun. That's fantastic. So for those that are watching that want to connect with you, that want to learn more about both businesses that you've got, that want to come and visit and see it, check it out for the first time, where can we advise them to go for more information?
I would actually go to our Instagram because I'm very responsive on there, as it's my main form of marketing outside of referrals. Because Instagram is referral, whether you realize it or not. There's a picture there, so it's a referral. But so I'm very responsive on that, and our Instagram is Scissor Sisters ATX. Um, but yeah, you can message me anytime on there, and I'm very responsive.
Beautiful. I'll make sure I put that in the video description below. So for those that are watching this later on, go click it, go check it out. Send a DM, actually say, hey, saw you on the business spotlight. Phenomenal conversation. Always reach out, make those connections. I think that's so important in today's world. So please take the time to go do that. So as we wrap up, I always like to end on one final question. And that's simply, what is most inspiring to you today?
Generation Z as a
Hmm.
whole. They just don't realize the power that they possess yet. They have watched what all of us have done, good and bad, and because they have access to the internet, they can see it all. And if they would just realize their own power, especially in the business realm, they can take all of the negatives that we had to encounter and overcome and utilize that information. And I live in Austin. Everyone's complaining that the weirdness is going away, but Gen Z is weird enough as it is. If they would just go and ahead and have the moxie to, give it a try and try out business, I think we would all be so surprised as to what they would give us. They're just also young right now. They don't know it, but they inspire me all day long. And they're mostly who I'm working with, because I'm taking students out of schools, but they all have such good ideas. And I just wish they would just go ahead and do them and just have a little faith.
I love that. I love the perspective. I love just yeah, that is really cool. And I would agree. I'm excited to kind of see how things continue to shift as that generation continues to grow in their knowledge and willingness to take some chances with the ideas that they have. But Bo, I want to say thank you again for taking the time. This has been a lot of fun. I know I could probably sit here and pick your brain for way longer than we have time for today, but I just want to say thank you for taking the time and choosing to be here with me today.
You're welcome. Thank you.